Hi everyone, I'm going to show you how to add feedback control to your motors. Here I'm creating a new smart machine on app.viam.com and I'm SSH'd into my Viam Rover 2's Pi. I'm taking a bit of a shortcut because I already have Viam Server installed on the Pi, so I just copied the config and put it in a file on the Pi. I am then starting up Viam Server with that config file and waiting for it to finish startup, which takes a few seconds. Then we will confirm we can see the logs on app.viam.com. Okay, great. Next, in the Config tab, I'm finding the fragment for the Viam Rover 2. Instead of just clicking Add, I'm using the raw JSON because we're going to modify the fragment. You can see this fragment includes two GPIO motor components, and for both, the encoded option is selected. With this setup, the motors will use a basic form of feedback control that tries to maintain the desired velocity by increasing or decreasing the power in increments of 10%. You can see this results in slightly choppy motion, but the rover does drive straight. Now we'll configure PID control, which will allow for much smoother motion. I'm going to have Viam Server auto-tune and suggest values for P, I, and D. To trigger auto-tuning, for each motor, set the P, I, and D values to 0 and check the logs for the suggested values. What I found works best for the Viam Rover 2 is to tune each motor several times to get a sense of the suggested P, I, and D values, and then use the same values for both motors. So that's what I'm doing here. I ended up going with 0.07 for P and 0.5 for I. So let's take a look. Much smoother. Last, I want to show you the behavior with no feedback control. To do that, I'm switching the motor components to non-encoded. It's definitely much harder for the rover to maintain the desired linear velocity, and it drifts to one side. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you find using feedback control interesting and useful.